thought the Ashes was peak embarrassment for English Test match cricket, I think we need to think again. We've just lost to New Zealand. Credit to New Zealand, by the way. They were everything that England were not in this Test match series. But we've just lost at home for the first time since 2012. The way it transpired, especially in that last hour or so on the fourth day at Trent Bridge, when it was treated as no more than a benefit game or some sort of amateur tour game. Whole thing is a disgrace. These England players, this England setup, I don't think they have any idea or the self-awareness to understand just how pissed off people were with what they produced in Australia over the winter. I don't think they understand, the sacrifices that people went to save to go to Australia, how much money it cost to go to the Trent Bridge Test. For them to treat it as nothing more than a hit and giggle, it's just disgraceful. And why should we be surprised? There was no review, there was no reset, it was all a load of horseshit. Richard Gould is an absolute disgrace. He has wasted, as bad as things were in Australia, they are worse now. He has wasted another 7 months of our time with this same incompetent setup of Key and McCullum, who don't know what the fuck they're doing. We've wasted 3 more precious Test matches to get ourselves right before the Ashes, which is now less than 12 months away, and now we've lost our captain. The one person who at the end of the Ashes tour stood up and said, this is not right, teams have caught up with us, we need to change our ways. He's gone now too as well. And the status quo running the shop, who are completely incompetent, are all still in their positions. And on we go. Where we go from here is anybody's guess. It will get worse, by the way, before it gets better. What you could maybe say about the Oval is that, everything that was going on, with Stokes and Atkinson, and we had a lot of changes in the team. There was no fight, by the way, in the Oval to try and save that game or to try and take that game even deeper on the 5th day. But fuck me. What can you say about what happened at Trent Bridge? And everything you need to know about this gutless England team is encapsulated in everything that happened on the 4th day. Let's go back to the morning, 4th day. The game, yes, it's tilted towards New Zealand, but it's still potentially in the balance. Stokes has dragged us back in from out of nowhere with those 4 wickets. Otherwise, they would have got 650, whatever it was, and the game would have been gone. So you have Stokes and Archer versus Ravindra and Mitchell. Proper Test cricket on the 4th morning. Bowlers on the top. The pitch is starting to do a little bit more. It's starting to get a bit uneven bounce. Archer nearly has Mitchell LB. He overturned. You saw Mitchell punching the back of his bat. He was so happy that decision got overruled and that he could continue his innings. And despite the fact that he was getting hit and the invariable bounce, he made a conscious effort and a brave effort to stand out of his crease to Stokes and Archer to try and nullify the uneven bounce, try and take LB out of the equation. And then the other end, Ravindra was battling away. It was fantastic Test match cricket. Obviously, the ball was on top. You could the pressure was building, right? Something was going to happen after 30, 40 minutes, or however it was. And what eventually happened, Stokes dropped a little bit short. Bang! Ravindra fucking nailed him way in front of mid-wicket for 4. And the grit and determination shown by those New Zealand pair paid off. And from there, they grounding that. They did several things, right? They let the pitch wear more and more and more. They got the England bowlers more and more tired. And they got more time in the field in the legs of the England batsmen for what would eventually become England's 4th innings. Let's swap roles round, shall we? What happens on the 4th morning if England are batting? You guessed it, because we saw it later that day. They just go for it. They're playing ramp shots, playing reverse ramps, backing away, using their feet, not playing proper Test cricket. And they would have just folded and gifted New Zealand away back in if it was England batting that morning. You can go back on England Cricket's Instagram account and watch those bullshit sit-down little pieces with McCullum at Loughborough talking about, how we don't just want to have a knockout power like a heavyweight boxer. We want to learn to jab our way through different situations, and we're going to grow the team, and we just have to do a little bit of tweaking just to make sure that we pick our moments. It's all a load of bullshit. He's not even doubled down. He has trebled down on his baseball cricket, which has not worked, and we have sunk to new lows against New Zealand. Not just new lows in terms of performance and the result, but just how embarrassing it is to watch England cricket. And if you want a testament to that, did you see the stump cam or the player cam or whatever when Brook holed out for 21 off 9 balls? the New Zealanders were pissing themselves laughing at us. You could hear them exclaiming to themselves, what the fuck are England doing? And yeah, what the fuck were we doing? It was an absolute shit show and a shambles. And everybody from fucking Richard Gould, who's kept the status quo together and pissed away another 7 months of time, to Rob Key, to Brendan McCullum, needs to get the fuck out of English cricket. It's an absolute shambles and an embarrassment. They have disrespected the fans, the game, they disrespected Test match cricket, and it's time to tear down the house, because the house needs rebuilding from the bottom up. But look, I'm going to go into those separately, into McCullum, Key and Gould on individual videos about those three. But yeah, things do need to change. Look, so we talked about the start of the day. On day 4, New Zealand stuck it out. Particularly Mitchell was very brave. You saw the picture of him. He had his bruises, everything over his body. He took one on the arm. But, he did what he needed to do for his country, for his team, for the best outcome for them in the Test match and the Test series at the time when it mattered the most. Let's go to the end of the day. So look, obviously we have the situation. And look, what I have to say is actually first, and how good New Zealand were is getting lost in all the noise about how bad England were and the Stokes fallout and all that sort of thing. The Kiwis were everything we were not in that series. They were prepared, they were disciplined, they were adaptable, they were resourceful, they were brave, they were better than us in every single department. And the fielding as well, our fielding is shambolic and hasn't improved at all. It's actually probably got even worse since the Ashes. And they were better in every department. They outthought us and they outfought us, and we were second best in every way. And England was spineless, gutless, there was zero fight. And on the evening of the 4th day, it turned into, farce is the very correct word for this, it turned into basically a benefit game, right? So we're in the middle of a Test match, the paying public are there, the match and the series is on the line. And what do England do? They play, let's change the order like you would do if you're on an amateur tour or it's a benefit game or something like that. So Stokes goes up to the top, you start pissing around Emilio Gay, who's at the start of his career. It's not really, I don't think that's really fair on him. And look, it was Stokes' last game and he was going to go out. So maybe for that one player, you can say, look, he was going out and doing some pinch hitting or whatever and trying to get it away. So England got off to a start. Will O'Rourke did his finger, so he has to go off. New Zealand started the game minus their 2 best bowlers. The bowlers are going down like flies during the game. Then Will O'Rourke goes off with his finger. And England, at that point, it's a small chance, but a semblance of a chance. But within half an hour, it has gone to some of the fucking dumbest... Harry Brook hits his first ball for 6. He then scoops his second ball for 4. He gets 21 off. A complete fucking waste of time. Joe Root reverse ramped the first ball of his inning for 4. I honestly think, as well as changing the order, they've had a bet between them. Something along the line, probably, you've got to hit your first ball for 6, otherwise you owe me £100 or beers or whatever the fuck they gamble on, or maybe they've made a little bet they have to play some sort of scoop in the first ball or 2. I seriously think that's what's happened. If even the great Joe Root has been poisoned by this fucking Bazball nonsense to play a reverse ramp first ball of his innings when there's a match and a series on the line, all bets are off at that point. It kind of just makes you think, well, we may as well all pack up. What's the point if it's got to that stage? Yeah, and then they just go and go and go. I can't really sum it up any better than Vaughan summed up Brook. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. I know you might think it's a strange thought or a conversation or a strange road to go down. At what point does a coach drop Harry Brook? Because it's not just 1 or 2 shots, it's in the dozens. It's time and time. It was all winter in Australia. It was an absurd shot at the Oval against India at the end of last summer. It was that ridiculous shot at Lords, that scoop shot when the game was in the balance and he got bowled against India last summer. He got a number of fast 50s in this series. He could have been caught twice at Lords. It's just an absolute shambles. I know you might say to me, look, he's, we're in a really bad way. He's our best batsman. If we had a proper... Brendan McCullum is not a proper coach by any stretch of the imagination. He is useless, absolutely useless. At what point would a proper coach have to drop Harry Brook? Or at least have a word and tell him to dial it down a bit for the good of the team? Because We cannot have this guy who's meant to be the next captain go out and play like that and then just hit it down fine legs, throw, walk off, 21 off night. It's beyond unacceptable. It's disrespectful to the paying public who've gone to Trent Bridge, to all the fans who support the team, who went to Australia at great financial cost. He just doesn't give a shit. Look, and if you're one of the people who, Bazball's still telling you, well, fine, you have it your way. I've had more than enough of this absolute nonsense. And as I said, the whole thing needs to be burnt down, through the ground and started again, because English Test match cricket, it is rotten to its very core at the moment. And it's an embarrassment, simple as that. A couple more telling stats from the game. Darryl Mitchell batted 240 balls for his 100 in the third innings. In the fourth innings, England batted only just over 50 overs all by themselves, so about just over 300 balls. New Zealand batted 94 overs in the third innings. England could manage only about 51, so about half of that. And there it is in a microcosm. There's not the application. The players aren't being coached. And then McCullum has the cheek and the audacity to come out and very smugly and matter-of-factly in an interview say the whole thing, the way they played on that fourth innings. Yeah, it was all... we planned it. It was all a collaborative plan. That was how we needed to play. The pitch had gone. It clearly hadn't gone, by the way, if you'd seen how the New Zealanders had played. And we were just going to go hell for leather, and that was it. And that was it. That was the plan in Perth. That was the plan at Lords in 2023 when we were way ahead of the game. When he's trying to, blame it on the pitch or give the pitch as a reason. The pitch is not the reason. The problem is, this is the only fucking way this idiot knows. This is how England are instructed to play. You go and you go and you go, and there's some consequence-free environment. Doesn't matter. We're taking away all the pressure from... It's all a load of fucking bullshit, and it does not work. It has not worked. And talk about diminishing returns. I mean, diminishing returns is kind of... That phrase suggests that something is still producing returns, but, at a lesser and lesser and lesser rate. I mean, this is just producing a great deal of embarrassment now. We don't bat long enough. We don't bowl smart enough. We just try and bowl short and fast a lot of the time. Our fielding is shambolic. We don't show the due respect, amount of deference to the game of Test cricket, and the fact that it is called Test match cricket for a reason. I'm going on like this in my other videos. I'm sounding like a broken record, but I'm a broken record for a reason, because it's the same things over and over again. You cannot just go out there. Everybody cannot just go out there and smash the cover off the ball in Test match cricket. It has never. It will never work. It worked for a very brief period at the start of Bazball, and then other teams found us out, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. If the Australians have their full bowling attack ready for one last tilt at England in England next summer, we're sunk. We've got no chance. If I'm the Pakistanis, I'm thinking, and they don't travel too well normally. If I'm them at the moment, I'm thinking, let's get over there. Let's get prepared. Let's be ready, because we have a real chance of winning England, something which they haven't done for a long, long time. Because this England setup is incredibly fragile, and now it's rudderless and leaderless. And as I said, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. And we're a long way off doing anything in the Ashes next year. And look, ultimately, what we are seeing is an embarrassing stain on English cricket. It's a stain on hundreds of years of Test match cricket, for a bunch of arrogant pricks who think they are way better than they actually are, and think they've found some magical new way to play the game that nobody else has ever thought of. And despite 2-3 years of seeing it doesn't work, they are doubling down on it and going again. The whole thing is an absolute shambles. Anyway, that's me done. What did you think of the series? Please let me know in the comments. I had a New Zealand viewer actually got in touch, and in his comments he said it was an inside job. We'd sent all these Kiwi coaches over to infiltrate your coaching staff, and we took you down from the inside. So, interesting thought, right? Maybe there's something in that. But yeah, please let me know. Next video coming up is Brendan McCullum and why he needs to be removed from English cricket ASAP. I'll speak to you soon.